The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the host/guest and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any of BXR entities and those they represent.
Welcome to another week of Living a Rich Life. I am your host, Rich James. Here on Living a Rich Life Talk Show, we inform, inspire, and encourage each other to live a life through 6 F's. Those elements are good health, strong relationships, financial freedom, goals and achievement, extraordinary experiences, and philanthropy. We all have a story to tell, and today's guests are no different. They are definitely inspiring, motivating, and have good examples of what living a rich life is. With that being said, let's talk about it. Our first guest, today's first guest, is an honor and a privilege to me because I know this man, this brother personally, and he's been really a mentor back in the days, and it's definitely good for me to connect with him. He is a certified mental game coaching professional, Atlanta Braves minor league pitcher, Anaheim Angels minor league pitcher, Anaheim Angels associate scout. He was a college coach for over 15 years, a mental health counselor for 10 years, a private baseball instructor for 30 years. Please welcome the founder of Gem Pitching Inc., one of the major sports icons of Long Island and across the country. Please welcome my brother, Mr. Glenn Mitchell. Unmute yourself.
Oh, you muted me. I didn't mute myself. I appreciate you, big guy. You're Rich. It's a blessing to be here, man. I really do say that with the kindness of my heart. You know, I appreciate you having me, and this is going to be fun. I like this, man. I love this.
Well, I thank you taking the time out of your busy schedule. The one thing, Glenn, that I've always admired about you was, one, your work ethics when it came to sports and how you led us back in the days. But we're not here. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to definitely talk a little about that. But I believe that you've been inspiring and motivating. And although we reconnected, which I love, the fact that I don't always talk to everyone, but I still, being in entertainment now, I still like to stay connected. And I said, this brother has a story to tell, and we're going to get him on the show.
I appreciate it.
Right?
Yep.
So what do you say? Let's get right into it. It's March Madness. It's sporting season. So tell us, where did the love of sports particularly come from? And baseball more importantly, because I know that was your thing.
Well, back in the day, there was no remote controls for me. There was, Glenn, come here, turn the TV. Or if I'm watching TV, whatever I'm watching, when my father came in, it was like, Glenn, I know you're watching this, but baseball's on. So I started watching the Yankees when I was like 6, acting up in the living room like I'm Ron Guidry, Thurman Munson, Mickey Rivers, Willie Stargell, trying to do all these different batting stance and pitch like Tommy John, and then from there it just kept going on and on, watching, playing, with my Lakeview Little League, with all the fellas, and I just never stopped, and when the guys, stopped playing, they went straight to basketball more than and football. I kept playing baseball, not knowing all those years of playing baseball was going to give me a shot at playing professional baseball. It was definitely a blessing.
Yeah, that's and as long as I've known you, I've never knew that. I just knew you was good at baseball and you played it, and that was it. Hey, we going to the baseball games to support, but I
Right.
never knew it started with a love with of watching baseball back in the days. I just never
Right.
knew. It's amazing how the conversations you have in passing.
Right.
So playing a professional sport is hard. It's no
Very.
easy task to get there.
Right.
What was some of your greatest challenges as a professional athlete?
I mean, the biggest challenge in playing professional baseball is learning that it's a job. It's all the kids that I've trained over the years and talked to, everybody wants to play professional baseball, but they don't understand the sacrifice that comes with playing professional baseball. They don't realize that it's not just playing and going home, especially when you're playing pro. It's playing, you get paid, even though it's not a lot of pay in the minor leagues, you get paid. And the better you do, the more you grow. Each level you go up. But if you don't do good, your last at bat or your last pitch might be the last time you play professional baseball. The biggest struggle for me when I was playing was being away from home. I signed at 17 and I hadn't left home by myself at that time. So I had to go to Florida and play baseball with a whole new team, a whole new cast of people, different people from all over the country. I played with a guy from Australia. You know what I mean? So it was so depressing when I wasn't doing good. When I wasn't doing good, it was hard to deal with. You figure you could call home, but calling home, you didn't want to upset your parent, which was my father at the time. And I didn't want to call some of my friends because I didn't want them to think I was going to not do well. So you end up with your own thoughts in your own mind, getting in your own way. You know what I mean?
Right. Because again, when you think about it, you went straight from high school, right? And you talk about other athletes, they go straight from high school to a professional sport, right? We know some of the greats, that they go straight from high school into professional, and that's no easy task. I mean, at 17, that's hard to leave home. Almost no college in between. We want you now.
Yeah.
We want you now.
It's like I remember I was playing with a guy by the name of Kent Merker, who actually played with the Atlanta Braves in the big leagues. He was signed at like 18 years old, coming out of high school. Ken Griffey Jr. was signed out of high school. Mm-hmm. The difference between Ken Griffey Jr. and per se me was that Ken Griffey Jr. was taught by his father and prepared. You know what I mean? He was prepared for it. He was prepared for what was going to happen. I wasn't prepared for what was going to happen. I'm leaving Malvern High School playing in front of 10, 15 people. And then I got to a point where I was playing in front of 10,000, 20,000 people. You know what I'm saying? And then when I say we are fans, we are fans. They yelling, they screaming, and when you're away, and it can be very disturbing mentally, very much mentally disturbing.
So let's go into that now, right? So the mental aspect. How did your mental performance affect your physical capabilities? Because I know you. Share with my audience how that mental performance affected your physical capabilities. Because you definitely had the arm. You had the arm.
No, the athleticism was fine. It was working through the depression, working through the anxiety, working through the fear of failure. No one taught me that you're going to fail. They didn't say, okay, in baseball, you're going to fail every such and such a time. It was just play the game and you want to win. But now when you're playing professional, it's only you. It's all about you performing and getting better and growing to get to the big leagues. So for me, it was very difficult to focus and allow my body to move. Perfect example. I had a coach when I was playing with the Braves, Pedro Gonzalez. And I remember I came off the mound and he looked at the chart. At that time, it was easy that, they wrote down every pitch you threw speed-wise. And he said, what pitch was that? And I said, fastball. He says, no, it couldn't have been a fastball. And what he showed me is that when I threw it ball one, say I was at 92, 93. After ball one, I would go ball two, which would go down below 90, which would be like 88. And then I would throw another ball, and then it would go to 84, 85. And then by the time I walked the batter, it was at 82. So he thought it was a changeup. You know what I'm saying? I stopped myself from moving. I was in fear of throwing a ball. So I was trying to throw a strike, but I was holding my speed back. I wasn't just letting it go. So he said to me, no matter what happens, throw the ball. In his broken English, my man, he said, throw the ball. So I was like, all right, just throw the ball, but it was difficult, because when I didn't do good, I got by myself in my room, or I was walking around the facility where I was playing at, it was really, really lonely, man.
Right.
A lot of kids that I talk to now, from the mental performance side, that's why I dedicated my life to doing this and listening, is that they think they're the only one. I can tell, I said it before on a YouTube with my boy at Access. I said, you're not the only one that thought about killing themselves. I thought about killing myself when I was playing. That's how deep it was, because you didn't want to fail. So there's a lot of people that don't realize they haven't did this for the first time by themselves.
Right.
There's a lot of people that do it for the first time. You know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of people that do the same thing every day. We didn't make this up.
Right.
The fear, the depression, the anxiety, it goes through all of us. You feel me?
No doubt. So let me first by saying kudos to one, because again, you've always been a stand-up brother. In my eyes, you've always exuded positivity. And let's kind of move us forward in terms of, what's your goal and aim as a life coach for your, and I say student athletes, because that's what we were called back in the days.
Well, the biggest thing is, like I said prior, I want them to realize they're not the only one. They're not the only one to fail. They're not the only one to get depressed. They're not the only one to have anxiety. They're not the only one to feel like they can't talk to mommy and daddy, or their sisters. You know what I mean? A lot of kids have committed suicide, like perfect example, big leaguer Jason Giambi, I think it is. He killed himself last year. There was 3 college girls that killed themselves last year, because they didn't want to face failure, but to succeed, we have to fail. You know what I mean? We have to fail. That's the only way we grow and we learn. So I keep talking to the kids. I keep talking to the student athletes. I keep talking to adults about playing professional sports in all aspects, in all the aspects that I deal with. It was funny. I was doing the Big East tournament, because that's a job I have. I do things for Madison Square Garden. And I remember Jimmy Jackson, who played 14 years in the NBA. I asked him, I said, if there was 3 things you could tell your young self, what would you do? He said, enjoy the process, listen more, and don't get in my own way. And I was like, that's profound. I said, that's profound. So when we discussed it a little bit, I'm happy he even gave me time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Analyst. You know what I'm saying? He's an analyst, 14 years NBA, but I had to ask him a question. Even in that aspect, I had to walk in my fear because I didn't want to get rejected. You feel me? So I said, all right. And when he did it, I said to him, I'm a mental performance coach. I said, the reason I asked is because I love to get examples from people who have went through it so that I can use their examples. I don't need your name. I just need your story. Right. So I can tell other people, you're not the only one. And he was like, yo, that's fire. And I was like, oh man, that's cool. I didn't want to be wrong, but I knew that was one of the things that I wanted to use. Everybody that I talk to me, is an example story of their why, so that I can help the next person. You know what I mean?
Definitely, definitely. For those that are just tuning in here on Be Exposed Radio, we are talking with Long Island sports icon Glenn Mitchell, professional baseball player. He now has his own organization called Gem Pitching Inc. Let's talk about that. What are some of your services at Gem Pitching Inc.? Now, I know what Gem stands for, so you're gonna have to also tell them what Gem stands for. But
there you go. Now you're gonna get me. I know one person that's gonna watch this gonna be like, "Oh, your middle name is Ellis." See, I gotta tell it because it's on my baseball card. I know Vic. You know, Vic gonna be like, "Oh, you finally had to say something." For me, teaching the kids how to use their body right in pitching, physically and mentally. I've been doing it for over 35 years. I want you to understand that when you learn how to physically move, you have to be confident. You have to be able to take direction. You have to be able to correct yourself, you know, and you have to be able to breathe. You know, you want to be able to do these things and have fun. You make it fun to yourself. When you make a mistake, it's okay. Everything's all right. You're going to go home still. You know what I'm saying? You're going to say hi to somebody. You know, you got another day. And in pitching and swinging, you got another pitch to hit and you got another pitch to throw. So everything is fine. You know, there's a lot of kids out there that work so hard on physical development, but they don't work on their mental development. I mean, I've seen kids that really get take perfectionists to a whole different level, you know, where they get mad at themselves, throw the bat in the home run. I watched a kid out in Suffolk one time, he was swinging and he didn't hit the ball the way he liked, he threw the bat. And I'm like, I'm sorry, how old are you? You 10th grade? You know, why are you doing that? You can't do that and look professional, you know. And it doesn't help the problem. You know, you have to get the solution. You ain't doing nothing with the solution by throwing a bat. That's just making it worse. You know.
I do want to take this time to give a shout out to one of my classmates, Derek Atkins, who Derek was on the show. Derek was on the show, and you know, he had a similar story in terms of the depression, right? To be, you know, the Olympic gold medal, he did very well at Georgia Tech, and then from you to go from high school into, you know, professional baseball, it's definitely everything that.
Hello. Okay, I can hear you. What happened? And what happened to Rich?
I don't know what happened. His connection may have dropped out. Let's give him a couple seconds to see if he comes back.
All right. Man, he better hardwire his stuff in.
Here it comes.
Jaden to be home soon. Okay, I see you. Oh, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. I tell you, boy, it's technology. Technology is we've allowed it too much. I take it Monty was able to entertain you. I do apologize for those that we had a little technical difficulty.
Wait a minute. I'm about to bring it back in now.
Okay. That is crazy. You know, over here they're working on stuff. Might need to get. I like this. So I keep saying we need to get back in the studio.
We good?
Think so.
You're on.
We good, Monty?
Yes.
All right. I don't see Glenn.
I see you.
Oh, okay. I see you too. I see you now. All right.
Okay.
So we're gonna recap real quick. Folks had a little technical difficulty, but those that know in video and broadcasting, sometimes things happen. We are on Be Exposed Radio. This is Living a Rich Life, and I am your host, Rich James. We are talking with the Long Island icon, sports icon, Glenn Mitchell. And Glenn, I believe we left off, you was telling us about Gem Pitching, Inc.
Yeah, Gem Pitching Inc. is two parts.
Okay.
Mental and physical. And I've been doing that, like I said before, for over 35 years. So a lot of my guys, you know, they'll text me or see me when I'm teaching them college. You know, I got some pro guys, and they'll say, "Yo, coach, I just heard this guy say the same thing you said." You know, and I was like, and when did I say it? They was like, "You said it years ago when I was like 10 years old. Now he in college or he in the pros." You know, so I was like, I told you, it's mental and physical. You know, a lot of guys nowadays are doing a lot of physical velocity programs. And I'm not against velocity when it comes to pitching, and I'm not against hitting home runs when it comes to hitting. But I am against a kid trying to hit a home run and doesn't know how to hit the ball yet. I am against a kid throwing 85 miles an hour to 100 miles an hour, and he don't know how to throw a strike yet. You know what I mean? So my thing is that. Come on up here. I'll make sure I can see my big water here. Okay, there we go. You know, so that's my biggest thing with Gem Pitching. You know,
So
teaching
there's a
balance.
there's a balance, right?
Yes.
One's the whole physical aspect of it. That makes sense. That makes sense. I think we have a question that popped up. So, what does mental coaching look like?
Mental coaching is you becoming one with yourself, which means you're confident. You work on your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
You work on being comfortable, being uncomfortable. You work on making adjustments without getting angry, upset. You know what I'm saying? Negative opinions to yourself. You know, anything that you're saying that's negative to yourself that's going to reflect in your performance. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's such a big thing with a small word. Mental performance is helping you become one to deal with all the issues that you deal with in sports and also life. Because
Okay, so
once you learn how, yeah,
we're not just talking nation.
Right. We talking about one, being one with yourself, quiet at times, you know, that discipline that makes you grow, you know. Failure is nothing but growing backwards to me. You know, you're learning how to grow by failure. You know, I remember, there was Jim Rohn said it best: failure is education.
Folks, we got Glenn dropping. He's dropping some gems here. Look at that. He is dropping some gems. You know, that's the one thing I always like to talk. And I've talked to a lot of different people of all kinds, and everyone approach, they always drop in gems. And I think just as a community, it's good to have these type of conversations. And again, having folks tell the story.
Right.
You know, there's always two questions. There's always two questions that I ask. And I want to take this opportunity to ask this question before we get into the little more fun, something I call would you rather questions. Okay. So what would you say is your superpower? I think everyone has a superpower. What would you say is your superpower?
Okay. Krishnamurti, an ancient philosopher, said it best. When you're listening to somebody completely, attentively, then you are listening not only to the words, but also to the feeling of what is being conveyed, to the whole of it, not part of it. My superpower is listening. And not
listening.
Listening. Not answering your question, but helping you answer your question. Because the answer is inside you. It just has to come out.
Okay.
It has to.
I like that.
I remember a parent said at a camp one time, I've never seen somebody have so much patience. And I was like, if I don't have patience, they don't get answers. They don't get answers. They get depressed and they don't feel good because they feel no one's listening to them. You know, sometimes that ear to hear is the best thing in the world.
Facts. So this part of the show, I call it Would You Rather? Right? So let's have a little fun. So some folks don't know, we talked a lot baseball. Again, folks that's tuning in, talking with Long Island sports icon, basketball, professional athlete, mentor, baseball instructor. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Big brother. He played basketball for Malvern High. And Malvern, and congratulations to the team this year. They got to the Nassau County, and then they won Nassau County, but they didn't get as far as when I was playing. But but right, folks. So one thing. So Glenn, very good basketball player as well. Glenn invented the. That's for the folks that are still learning you. So would you rather baseball or basketball? Which would you choose? Now you used to get it in them basketball.
I mean, wow. Nah, I'd stay with baseball.
Baseball, okay.
Because even, you know what? Here's the thing. Pat Mahomes, his father, that's how we met, playing basketball, sneaking away from baseball to play basketball. Willie Banks out of New Jersey, David Justice. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of us that we snuck away to play basketball. John Smoltz. That's how we got to know each other. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead. I got you. Go ahead. But I'd have to stay with baseball.
Okay, and that's fair, and that's fair. I want to deviate a little bit now, right? So you met a lot. You have met a lot of Hall of Famers in the baseball world. You met a lot. And what I love about you was it wasn't about trying to be around, and I think that's where we have a lot in common. Is if you have some information that I could use and helpful, and you're willing to share, I want to hear it. That's what I want to know.
Right.
Who is or was your favorite baseball Hall of Famer that you have met, and why?
Willie Stargell. Willie
Ah.
Stargell. In
And tell us.
1988, when I was playing single A in Sumter, South Carolina with the Braves, Willie Stargell came to speak to the hitters, and I stayed because I remember my father loved Willie Stargell. So after he finished, I was like, I got to do it. And I said, is it all right if I talk to you? It was a rain day. He took me into the stadium, sat me down, and answered any question, and also told me the history of how he came up in the minor leagues and the big leagues as being a black man. And it was deep. Yeah, it was deep. But he just gave me his time. You know, the precious thing that people give me for the examples of stories to help someone else is their time. You know, that's why I like to listen. You know, that's why I like to listen. He was deep, man. He was real deep. You know, I met him. He was probably the biggest superstar Hall of Famer that my father loved that I met, you know. So it was really good.
What's up? So this is March Madness, right? And I know, again, professional baseball, but we talk about basketball. Who do you have for March Madness?
Well, you know, it's funny. Scott Otley's son, Brandon, has a best friend who plays for Michigan State, the kid Walker. You know, they dropped the numbers. Yeah. So, you know, I want him to win because one, he's from Long Island. You know what I'm saying? He went to Christ King, but I remember he's from Long Island. So I would like for him to get a shot at winning. He's a good kid. You know, from talking to Scott, I know he's a good kid and he's been doing his thing. You know, it's really good to see people from Long Island do what they have to do, you know?
Yes, absolutely. And that's one of the things that you've said to me. And again, I appreciate it. And you know, I see a lot happening in the next couple of years as we going to start doing some collabo. You know, I have a lot of guests on. Some of them I maintain a relationship, but we already had a relationship for some time, and I think it's at a point now where we can definitely help each other out and move things along. So I like to take this time for you to share with folks your social media information, how they can get a hold if they, you know, mental or the pitching, everything. Can you share some of that information with our followers?
Definitely. My website is gymmentalgamepro.com. gymmentalgamepro.com. That's where you can reach me. Gym Pitching Inc. You can reach me on that on Facebook. But that mental performance is my website, gymmentalgamepro.com. You know, and I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, but I'm bigger on Instagram. You know, I got to talk to my daughter to help me out with the marketing, you know what I'm saying, to get better on that with the Twitter stuff. You know, some of that Twitter stuff be happening too fast. I found out I'm getting older, man. I'm getting older, you know, but it's a blessing, man. It's truly a blessing to be here, man, you know. You know, and I'm gonna keep talking to kids. You know, I had a chance to talk to a lot of pros. You know, one of my main pros, though, man, I have to give him a shout out, is a kid that called me his pops. You know, Alex Vargas. Man, we've been through a lot. You know, and we talk all the time. So the growth is just an amazing thing. And I know he's going to be a powerful speaker. You know, because he's a Dominican cat. You know, for his Dominican culture, man, he can speak. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. That's what's up. That's what's up. You got more for us?
Yeah, I can give a shout out. Okay, I got to give a shout out to the places where I teach. Queens, Nassau, Comets, Athletics in Oceanside. Speed Island in Garden City, another Mount Vernon alumni doing his thing. Arm Academy in Farmingdale, Long Island Fieldhouse in High Park, and my two teachers who got me certified, Dr. Patrick Cohn and Brian Kane, who's really big. You know what I'm saying? And one more statement that has to be said. Learning is never failure. Stopping is failure.
Facts. One of the things, since you mentioned your website, my team and it was doing their, you know, the research and putting the questions together. And, you know, again, I like to be organic, but one of the things they wanted me to ask was, Tell us about the phrase, we're here to listen. I think we've touched on some of that, right? But what does that mean? Tell us about that phrase, we're here to listen.
Right, but it's like I said with Judo Krishnamurti, the philosopher, I love to listen to people's their total why. Why are you doing this? Why do you do the things you do? And what do you want to get out of it? There's a statement that I had to write down, and it says, you can't teach a child how to think when your answer is because I say so. The reason is because they can't. That's my TD Jake. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? I'll say it again. You can't teach a child how to think when your answer is because I said so. Because I said so stops them from communicating. But if I want them to listen to me, you know what I'm saying, and I want to listen to them, I have to have them talking, or they're not going to want to hear me. You know how it was back in the days. Your mother yelling and screaming at you, your father yelling and screaming at you. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear nothing. But if they take the time to just listen, you'll find out a lot. I got a pro guy that told me, his father's always saying he knows him. And I said, well, you know what? My daughter graduated. My last kid graduated high school, right? My daughters have graduated high school. You know what? I'm still learning them. Because now they got different things going out there in the world. I don't know when they go to a party what they doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I know when I went to a party, I ain't do all that well. So everybody goes through stuff. But if you listen more, you can hear everything. And they ain't going to talk to the wrong person, man.
Right.
That's huge. Don't let them talk to the wrong person. Have your ears open. Always listening.
Facts. So what does a typical day look like for Glenn Mitchell? What does a typical day look like?
Every day I'm on the phone texting or talking to a player. Every single day. Whether it's a pro, whether it's college, whether it's high school, or whether it's a parent. There's not a day that don't go by I don't talk to somebody who plays sports or talk to someone that just wants me to listen to them and give them my advice. And my advice, like I said, is not mine. It's yours. It's your advice based on what I know, who I know you are. I can't make your choice. Everybody has a choice. No matter what's been said to somebody, no matter what's been taught to someone, everybody has a choice at the end. I had my daughter say something one time, you don't talk to me no more. I said, yes, I do. She's like, well, you don't tell me what to do. I said, oh, no, I don't tell you nothing. I can't tell you what to do. If I tell you what to do, then I get further away from you. I advise you. Now you got to make a choice because your choice has to be your own. It can't be, oh, well, you told me to do this. No. You got the choice. And I live by that. You got the choice. Now, the choice is what you have to live with. Are you ready? That's the issue. Are you ready to live with your choices? And you can't blame nobody. You feel me? Your choice is your choice no matter what. Own up to it. When I teach, the biggest thing we start with is responsibility. The responsibility for an athlete is what the choices they've made and the sacrifices they want to make. That's how it goes.
I'm gonna drop something on you right quick, Glenn. You've always had an older spirit to me because you was talking like this in high school.
My older brother said that one time. I didn't know how to take that. He was like, you got an old soul. And I was like, I guess so.
Yeah, that's a good, that's a good thing. I mean, again, we was younger, we was kids, he was still a big brother to me, but that's one thing that, that's just consistency. Just
right.
Again, that's just consistency. So those that are watching again, we have Glenn Mitchell, Long Island sports icon, professional baseball player. He's a mentor, coaching, instructor. And if you're not following him, please follow him. I'm going to be sure to put your information on my Instagram and linked up, to direct folks over there because, again, definitely somebody that they want to have in their corner, somebody I think they should get to know and hear your story. They're going to hear your story now. I can tell you that.
I appreciate
Definitely. The other question I ask is, again, this is living a rich life, as you can see. Tell us, what does living a rich life mean to you?
Peace. Peace, baby. Living with my choices, living with my choices and having peace. You know what I'm saying? As I get older, I can't sweat the small stuff. You know, I'm studying so many different books. I'm reading so many different books. I'm writing so much. I'm journalizing so much that I lose stuff and find it that I already wrote it 3 times because it's so positive and it's so fire. You know what I mean? I just want peace, man. You know, in my life, with my family and all, I just want peace. No arguments about nothing. You know, I hear people complain about stuff all the time, you know, and I say, okay, but the complaint doesn't give you a solution. So what, you gonna just beat yourself up? You feel me? So for me, living a rich life is just having peace and living. You know, that's me. That's Glenn. You know what I'm saying? That's just Glenn. I don't know about everybody else, but that's Glenn. Let me get my hands out of there.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's been a pleasure. Before we get out of here, tell us what's next for you, your organization, and things of that nature. A plan coming down the pipe so that we could be a part of some form of fashion. And we, I mean, Exposed Family and Living a Rich Life Network team.
Well, I'm doing a collaboration with Speed Island to help their track stars, their football players. You know, even I sent baseball players to them. Arm Academy, I'm doing a collab with them so that I can deal with the mental side of their pitchers. And Long Island Fieldhouse, I'm doing a collab with them, you know, with dealing with their baseball players, you know, so I'm just putting everything together and tightening it up. Sometimes I can be my worst enemy because I try to be too perfect, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just doing that and helping as many people as I can. You know, listen, I accept my life. You know, teaching is to touch a life forever. And that's what I live by. So I'm just gonna keep on doing it until I die. I'm sorry, you know. So and I don't say I'm sorry to people. I'm just saying I'm sorry. I gotta do what I do. And that's what I'm telling you. Do what you gotta do.
Nice. Well, Glenn, thank you for joining. You know, I got a second guest, so my second guest is, you know, he's also a Long Island sports icon in his right. He's younger, so I was more of a big brother to him. So you know, I'll be sure to connect with you again, and we get some things going. So close us out in terms of what you want to say to the fans and to the audience and the listeners and the supporters. I don't really call them fans, but I call folks that support Be Exposed Radio, Living a Rich Life. Close us out.
No matter what you do, make the choices that help you learn, grow, and live. Amen.
Amen. All right. There you have it, folks. Glenn, thanks for joining. And I'll be in touch, good brother.
Definitely. I appreciate the time.
All right. So there you have it, folks. We're going to do a quick shift as I think things are looking good on my end. So we're going to do a quick shift before my second guest comes on. But until then, I'll be right back and look forward to continue this Living a Rich Life show for today. Talk to y'all soon. Just give me a few minutes.
Yeah, I like this.
Let me see here. All right. Monty, I know you're listening. Can you let me in via computer? Oh, what are you doing? There we go. All right. I am going to. All right, good folks. We are back again. This is Rich James, Living a Rich Life Network. So we had a little technical difficulty earlier. We was talking with Glenn Mitchell, and my connection just went down. So, sometimes these things happen, but my guy, my producer, he did what he does, and we're back online looking good. He did send me a message. What are you doing? I just go with the flow because I just let you do what you do, Monty, and you help me out. So I have my second guest, and he's on the line, and he's waiting. So we're going to go ahead and continue the show and introduce this young brother. Our second guest here on Living a Rich Life. He is an all Long Island football player, like myself, received an All-American honors and won 2 NCAA titles at Wagner College in Staten, Long Island. He is a member, just like Glenn, of the Malvern High School Hall of Fame, is the advisor for the Malvern Student Support Center and Mentor Program, known for being a strong youth advocate. Please welcome my young brother, varsity head coach of Malvern High, Mr. Kito Lockwood.
Rich James, honored and flattered to have this opportunity, my brother.
Kito, I am so glad to have you on. Multiple reasons. I love what you've done with the program. And as I said to Glenn, I don't have to always be there, but I know what's going on. And I know a couple of times we've touched bases and I said, hey, I'm coming. And you would tell me, well, come on. You know where we're going to be at before a game, which is in the locker room the night before. And I'm gonna have you right on the sideline with me. So I appreciate the love. I appreciate the patience. But my last trip, I said, brother, we got to get you on the show because you're doing some amazing things. So tell us something about your background. Give us a little something about Kito Lockwood.
Well, as you know, I've been a Lakeview resident. Both my parents were graduates of Malvern High School. My father was a football standout. I was fortunate enough to attend the same high school. So some of the few remaining coaches and staff were familiar with the last name. It kind of, paved the way. And I just tried to, continue his legacy, to create my own legacy, and just to do my folks proud and, utilize that athletic avenue to help me to, enjoy the fruits of life.
Absolutely. Kito, I'm going to tell you, again, we was young kids, right? What I remember was you had some corny jokes. But again, it's a growth. And even me just being up there not too long ago and watching you move. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I don't have to be, I'm not on site, but I know what's going on. I know the work that you've done at Malvern, and I appreciate it. And that's kind of why I took it to the next level. And we've had that conversation with the athletic director as to what I wanted to do. But right now, again, I just want to give you your flowers now because I appreciate you as Glenn was a big brother to me. I feel that I was a big brother to you during high school. And I know you was watching, and some of your moves you got from me. But we're going to keep it going.
Well, Rich, to piggyback off of that, I was fortunate enough to have role models like yourself and Glenn Mitchell. Coming up at a young age, you do set a precedence and a standard as far as being a student athlete and a member of the community. I can remember being the manager of the varsity basketball team as a 7th grader when Glenn was actually a senior on that basketball team. And dudes were big on character, and character takes you a long way. And I always have the conversation with my peers and other youth. It's just something special about this little town called Lakeview. Such as myself, my grandmother and my grandfather migrated here from the South, and there were a handful of other families who did the same. And it was just a certain level of pride.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. So tell us, Kito, what do you love about coaching? Tell us, what do you love about coaching?
Well, we love the game of football, man. The game of football in itself is special from a strategic standpoint, as well as the physical aspect of it. The coaching piece, the best part of the coaching is teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I love to teach the game and how the game should be played, how the game should be approached, and how the game is applied to life lessons.
Okay. Would you consider, and again, my folks, they do the research on my guests, and I do know that at one point you was looking to go into law enforcement. You decided to do something different. Would you say that, coaching and being a youth advocate is a career, or would you say it's your calling? It's what you were meant to do?
Well, I have to beg to differ on that. I consider it God's work.
Okay.
Truly, because a lot of folks, and I don't shed on negative light, but when I was a youth, we hung out, we were outside. So, we always heard adults, I need to find something to do something other than outside or, running the streets. I didn't want to be, that type of adult. I wanted to be hands-on and provide my services. And as well as I know, because we had some of the same coaches. Our coaches had the dream team. Their staff was law enforcement, lawyers, teachers, etc. And as much as those dudes gave back to us, I admire. I felt it was a gym. I was very fortunate to, have those type of men around me on a daily basis. Yeah. So I felt like at a point in my life, I needed to give back. I was still heavily interested in the game, no longer playing. So the next best thing to do is to coach.
Yeah. Okay.
And what the opportunity is to work with young men at a vital time of their lives.
Absolutely. So I'm going to piggyback off of that, right? And again, what I love about is some of the offline conversations, again, with me just being up there. And it does my heart to see you. And for the record, no, I don't dye my stuff. But in my opinion, the current generation were definitely raised differently than myself, than Glenn, and I just think, what are some of the challenges you have experienced as a coach and mentor with this current generation?
Well, initially, I feel like society doesn't make it easy.
Okay.
Whether it be the music, the street life, the gang activity, the drugs, the distractions. Society in itself, electronics now, phones, computers, laptops. It's difficult, in my opinion. It's very difficult to get a kid to focus, to lock it, to commit and dedicate to one thing, because they have various options. So many different options. And they're allowed to opinionate. We weren't allowed. I was getting a kick out of when you were talking with Glenn, and it's just so different. Our structure was different,
Yeah. I definitely understand that in terms of structure, and kind of how folks are being raised and things of that nature. So I get it. I get it. Let's get into preparation. So one of the things, we had Camp Colang as football. Is that a practice that you still do to this day?
Absolutely. We did it all the way up till 2019, and we discontinued because of the pandemic and the COVID.
Yes.
We were actually looking to resurface it, but I didn't want to resurface it with a senior group. I want to start with a ninth grade freshman group so that they can develop and formulate the whole process, because you know how big and important those 5 days at football camp were. I mean, the camaraderie that it built, the conditioning, just football, coaches and players, and the opportunity to, meet kids from other schools, whether it be other Long Island schools or New York City schools or upstate schools. We definitely missed it, but we would like to continue it.
Okay, so that's something you got. So how else do you prepare for upcoming seasons? So again, because what I remember was Camp Colang, but how do you prepare for upcoming seasons outside of the camp?
Well, I'm fortunate enough to have a coaching staff that is involved all year round. Okay. We start in the weight room in January, Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. I have 2 of my assistants that run the weight room program starting in January. And myself, I also coach winter and spring track. So the guys that aren't participating in basketball during the winter or lacrosse and baseball during the spring, they're either running or throwing a shot put along with the winter track team or the spring track team.
So it's kind of like some ongoing conditioning, so to speak. But the conditioning for those sports are totally different. One of the things I recall is when me playing football and basketball, I would transition from basketball to football to basketball, and I recall folks saying, "Hey, a couple of weeks from now, Rich James is going to be stealing that," because I just wasn't in that type of shape. So would you think there's some different type of conditioning for each sport that your players? Because again, it's that kind of that circular motion that happens, right? You get the same student athletes that play multiple sports.
Well, what I also do is myself and my assistant coaches, we have a summer program.
Okay.
The first Monday after the 4th of July weekend, we start, Rich. We start July 4th, July 5th. That Monday, we go Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. We start at 5 in the evening with a lift from about 5 to 6:15. Then we go out on the field and get some reps and some conditioning Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And on Wednesdays, we travel to a neighboring high school and participate in 7-on-7s all the way until August, the first week of August. So we're getting 4 days in for the 45. We like to number it around 45 to 50 days before the actual start date.
Gotcha.
So our off-season preparation is there,
right. Do you have? Let me ask. I'm asking a personal question here now. Do you guys have your schedule already for the next year?
Absolutely. We get our schedule in February. We've had our schedule for close to a month now.
Oh, okay, excellent. So we're gonna talk about that because I'm gonna make sure I come to a game this time. Definitely. So how would you define your coaching style, right? Again, you have the different assistant coaches. You were All-American, running back. How do you define your coaching style?
Well, initially, I'm from an old school era. Tough love. If you're doing the right thing, I'll be your biggest fan and your biggest supporter. If you're not doing the right thing, I'm going to be the first to put my foot, where. I'm very passionate about the game. There's times I get excited. I like to teach and I expect all the coaching to be done during the week. And Friday night and Saturday is the players' day. That's their opportunity to show us what they're capable of doing and respond to what we were teaching during all week. I'm not big on the rah-rah stuff or, get up in your face, the Bobby Knights and, those crazy dudes. I call it composure. Football is a game where you can't be erratic. You have to be composed. Everybody have jobs and assignments to do. And once you lose sight of that, things could go astray. So, I like to be cool, calm, and collective until needed.
Right. Yeah, that kind of was. You went right into my next question, just in terms of the work ethics when it comes to and not just football, but sports. So that you answered that question right then and there. What would you say are your greatest strengths as well? Tell us about your challenges. I don't like to call them weaknesses, but I'll call them challenges. What's your greatest strengths?
My greatest strength is contributed to my former coaches, because I didn't create this, Rich. You know, I'm just following suit, the same things they did for us. You know, I may have tweaked one or two things or added one or two things, but honestly, you know, Ron James, Colbert Britt, Cleve Winfield, you know, those guys instilled enough football in me where, you know, that's the easy part. You know, building character is the challenge.
Okay.
Because certain things that you need to bring to the table are developed in your household. You know, it starts at home. And then as a coach, I pretty much just pick up from there. And my job is to, you know, motivate the kid to be the best student athlete that they can be. And when you're coaching at a small school, you're dealing with a lot of adversity because the numbers are small. You know, you don't have that roster of 55 kids, or you don't have those, you know, 6'4", 275 linemen. That I believe, and I think you would agree, that's the beauty of Malvern football, the adversity that we deal with and we're up against year in and year out, because being a small school, you know, you're one play away from being 0-8, not winning the game. You know, you lose that one player.
Yeah, no, that's facts. That's facts. I think, again, from throughout history, right? Whether it's any sport, whether it's football or basketball or baseball, you know, there's just certain dynamics when it comes to a small school, you know. And when I think back to, you know, my days of playing and Glenn's days of playing, in which, again, your year, which was a stellar year when you guys were playing, what was y'all like, 10-0, 8-0? What y'all was pretty amazing. But again, you know, I think we've always showed up. The high school, the athletes, same group, but we were still, even like the Nassau County boys, they got down to the Nassau County, won the championship. And then, you know, but again, I just think that contributes, I say all that to say, contributes to a program that you're now running. And it just helps. It just helps, again, making a few minor tweaks there. So I wanted to make sure I give you a shout out in terms of that. That's to me, that's just beyond reproach. So keep doing what you're doing. All that to say, keep doing what you're doing, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. So for those that are just tuning in, we are talking with high school varsity coach of Malvern High, Mr. Kito Lockwood, not only a varsity head coach, but big time youth advocate, one of the sports icons of Long Island, in my opinion, whether you agree or not. I followed this brother when he was, again, a manager right up until now. And I look forward to some major things from you as the program continues. I want to continue this conversation. There's always two questions that I ask. One is, what is your superpower? And what does living a rich life mean to you? Because again, this is my show, Living a Rich Life. So tell us, Kito Lockwood, I ask you, a superpower.
The ability to have patience and understand people. I believe that is the one thing that has helped me thus far. You know, I was raised by my grandmother, Southern Belle, and she always taught me to love and forgive. And regardless of what our circumstances were, she was always willing to take someone in that wasn't as well off. And, you know, as I got older and matured, I began to see that her vision a lot clearer, which I added to my vision, which have helped me get to the place where I'm at now.
Amen. I'm gonna say amen to that, because you always got a smile. You know, again, you used to think it was funny, but you always had a smile. I don't think I've ever, in my, I'm gonna say it, my 40 plus years of knowing you, of my engagement with you, I don't think I've ever seen you get upset.
Rich, I wouldn't give an individual the satisfaction to believe I have a reason to be mad at them, Rich.
Yeah, and that's real talk, folks. So again, my guest today, I known them both for 40 years, and both stand-up guys. I've learned a lot from Glenn. I've learned a little something from my young brother, Kito, and I appreciate, respect you both, and I appreciate y'all both for being on my show. We're not done with you though, Kito, so don't think we're done with you. So one of the things that my team, because again, I kind of gave them a little history of the playing football and things of that nature. And one of the questions that they wanted me to ask of you, and I want to make sure I pull it up here, was what verb describes you, right? So your strength is your patience and understanding, but give us a verb that describes you.
You want the honest truth?
Yeah.
Bro,
It's Be Exposed Radio, baby. This is what we do.
I don't allow one word or one topic to box me in, bro.
Okay.
Like, I like to be capable and suitable for whatever the situation called for. You know, never in my life have I wanted anyone to be able to, lock me in a situation so that they feel like that they're prepared for whatever it is I'm bringing to the table. So I can't give you that verb, bro. I love you to death. I appreciate this opportunity, but that's gonna be my one flaw in this conversation, man.
There's no such thing, baby. We having a conversation. This is Be Exposed Radio. We do dig and we like to get some info. But hey, guess what? The beauty about Living a Rich Life talk show is to inspire and motivate people. So, and to tell their story. And if that's your story, we accept it.
Appreciate
we accept
that.
it and we receive it. Before we close out, question, and I think you mentioned it earlier, but who and what things have inspired you throughout life? Now, I think you mentioned your grandmother. You mentioned coaches. How do you maintain that, right? Because sometimes some of our past, they're no longer here with us. How do you maintain that inspiration and that motivation?
I think I do a good job of constantly reminding the youth of our tradition and the things that got us to this point, because everybody's story is different. As a man, it's hard for me to find myself in a weak place after witnessing a grandmother. My grandmother, she had 7 siblings, and her parents died when she was 13. So she raised her siblings. The strength that this woman showed me is like, anytime that I decide that I want to show any signs of weakness, it's like an alarm that go off in my head, bro. And she had a 4th grade level of education, and she was one of the most smartest people I ever encountered, bro. Old schooling, high school, college, books, this, that, and the third. But anytime I sat and spoke with this woman, she had the answer. She knew the experience. Like, she never read any of these books, Rich.
Right.
So for a woman to display this kind of strength and let alone, she already raised her brothers and sisters. She raised my mother and her other son, and now she's sacrificing, to raise me for whatever my family situation was. Bro, it's like, what more motivation do I need as a man to witness a strong Black woman display her level of strength and success? And every day I use it as a motivation tool. Every day.
No doubt. And that's, this is Women's Month. So I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna drop the mic on that one right there.
Bro, there it is.
It gets no better than that. It gets no better than that. I got to tell you, it has been a pleasure and an honor. I need you both to just stick around real quick as I do Living a Rich Life closing remarks. And I'll be in touch. Does that sound doable?
Well, once again, I want to thank you, Rich, and I wish you the best and a rich life. And this is one of the best things I've done, the best opportunities I've had in a long time, man. To get an opportunity to share my piece,
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, folks. So there you have it. It's been an honor and a privilege for me to have both Glenn Mitchell, Kito Lockwood, Malvern High School graduates, Long Island sports icons. Yes, I said it. If you don't believe me, I can get some records and all that good stuff, but I'm not that type of dude to do that. A lot of character. I appreciate you both for being, and this is the part of the show here on Be Exposed Radio that kind of makes me sad sometimes, but I'll be at you again next week. So this is Living a Rich Life closing remarks. Life can be challenging. The key is to get focused, stay focused, and know your worth no matter the circumstances. Keep shining even when it is difficult. Sometimes the darkest nights produce the brightest stars. Thank you, Glenn Mitchell, Kito Lockwood, for sharing your stories. If you have an inspiring story to tell, you can contact us at our website, livingarich.life.net. Tune in next week. We interview Hoodie hotelier Dante Johnson. He is a Maryland kind of a hotel connoisseur, and American fashion designer, Miss Jody Davis, and she has dressed the likes of our first female first lady, governor, the governor's wife, Dawn Moore, and she's on a tear now in terms of a fashion display. So until next week, stay focused and continue to be inspired to live a rich life. This is Rich James saying goodnight, and thank you for tuning in to beexposedradio.com. Appreciate you. And I think that's a wrap. Guys, I love you, brothers.
The Style Lounge Boutique. For a different caliber of service, the Style Lounge Boutique. For clothing that fits your lifestyle, the Style Lounge Boutique at 1734 Maryland Avenue. Trust me, you're gonna love it here.